Hello and welcome to the post-match reaction to the Houston SaberCats versus Seattle Seawolves. And so
I've actually talked to Stoller a bit after matches. He played college golf, and we're on for a round sometime. But he said that he compared kicking similar to golf, and in golf I know the ball does make a difference. So it's interesting to hear, Grant, that the ball has made a difference here in MLR.
Ray, how close are you to Tony?
I'm right next to him. Are you hearing me through both?
Yes, we are.
Yeah, you've got an echo.
Get out of here, Ray.
I'm going to exit there.
That was
I don't
Williams.
like sitting next to Tony anyways. I look pretty small.
Exit stage right. So the other thing that came into this we saw in that first half was Seattle have so far had one of the strongest scrums in this tournament. They got a bunch of penalty tries through it earlier in the season. They tried it again tonight to a certain degree, and Houston's scrum held up well, forcing Seattle to kick the corner rather than actually take scrums. And it was interesting to see that dynamic and change in the tactics that were forced by Houston's play.
Well, I mean, they had to give Ali Khalifi a little time off and Mitra a little time off, give them a rest to begin with. Their workload has been just tremendous going into this season, and so they needed a break in the first half, and they got it. And Kellen Gordon, he's a strong guy, he really is, but he's had lower back problems in the past, and his flexibility in his hips are obvious. If you look at the scrums, he's never able to get his thighs within 120 degrees of his hips. So, I mean, if you're not able to get it within, he was barely able to get it within 130 degrees. So if you're not able to get it within 120, you're never going to get any kind of push from a guy like Paul Mullen. And he had to peach every time, and every time he started peaching, he was going down. He was lucky not to get a yellow card tonight. It just never happened because Derek wasn't on that side of the road.
Grant, can you speak to the yellow card that Barkwell got? I wasn't sure what had happened there.
Barkwell got a yellow card for not wrapping.
Okay, got it. It wasn't in the scrum; it was in the tackle. Okay.
That was late in the second half. Houston basically struggled to get out of their own half in that kind of after that 20th minute, and eventually the pressure told, and Seattle did kick sticks and took three because the defences were certainly on top in that first half. By the fact that I think both teams were playing a pretty straight, not playing with much depth, only playing a single line of attack, which made the defences easier for them to line them up. And also the attacking team, both sides, started to fumble the ball in that second quarter. The heat taking its toll, and at that point, do you think, Grant?
I got to give all credit to Seattle's defense tonight. They did a stellar job. They worked. I mean, they worked and worked and worked. Probably the most work they've done all season, tackle-wise. And they were able to. There was a point there where Lindsey Stevens went off because of blood, and there was a little confusion in the transfer of personnel in the SaberCat line. And when that knock on from Sumption off that scrum happened, that confusion was still in fresh. When Mac picked that ball up, he capitalized on that. And I really think that point is where the SaberCats kind of got it put away, where Seattle kind of had the game put away.
Yeah, it was that first sort of 10 minutes after half time. Tiberio came into the game a bit more in that period, had a couple of good breaks. It's one of your star players, isn't he, Raymond?
Yeah, Tiberio has been really good. I think he really started to show a lot of brilliance for our team when we played away against NOLA, and I think he had his first try for us. And ever since then, we've just been seeing really good play from him. I talked to him a little bit after, I believe he was our Utah match, and his ability to charge down on the kickoff, he's always there. I mean, he's a really fast player, and today he scored. I mean, he knows what he's doing in terms of his timing and being in the right place. I think it's rare that you get a guy who's so physical as a wing. I don't know a lot about rugby, but for me, it's been really impressive to see kind of his physicality from outside. So I'm really impressed by Tiberio, and a little surprised because
Yeah, and it goes with a warning. He had a good break, and then that line out maul, it didn't quite go to plan, but he ran the good line and went over. And then a player you've been... Oh, dear, people dropping glasses.
Yeah,
and,
George my former teammate from our old Puget Sound Beach National Championship team, George Foster, not able to hold on to his drink here. That's
dear me. During his playing days, I'm sure he could hold on to it much better. But Tony, Mac then got out and managed to steal the ball quite nicely and nip over for a try as well, didn't he?
After the knock-on?
Phil Mack as coach and mistaken as captain by the interviewer, but he had a big influence today and was very both with the referee and also with his play.
Well, Mac's an incredible leader. Okay, I mean I tweeted something out today. It's going to be hard for me to cheer for him. I've really become fond of these Canadian players that are playing for the Seawolves. Ray Barkwill, Phil Mack, Brock Staller, a couple of other ones. Just great players. Mac is one of the best nines I've ever seen, and he's a great leader on the field, and super leader on the field, and he just gets the Seawolves moving forward, and he seems to get the ball in his hands when things pop up. That knock-on that happened from the, I think in number 8, which led to the try, was fantastic. You were talking about Tiberio earlier. For me, he was the man of the match. Tiberio has done a super job for the Seawolves. He's, for me, twice man of the match. Today on the wing, creating some, after that first seawall from the 4th to the 10th, 11th minute, Tiberio was the one that created the turnover there. And then him being able to step in the last 15 minutes and play 9 when Mac went off, it's he just had a great performance today. Tiberio.
And I gotta agree with Tony on that. Tiberio made some tackles on Joshua Vithi that probably no one else is going to make on Vithi, and that's just experience there, and he had stalwart, which is what Tiberio is, and I've really got to hand it to him. He played a hell of a game.
And the other name you mentioned there was VC. VC was all over the park in that first half. You could see him getting frustrated a bit and perhaps and coming and searching for the ball a bit more than perhaps they wanted. There were times when you're thinking, let's get it to him out wide, and on an overlap, I'm sure he'll be very dangerous. But a lot of industry from him.
I mean, the Seawolves gave him all the respect they could tonight.
They sure did.
If they didn't, they knew they were going to get punished.
Yeah, deservedly so. Obviously, an incredible player with the ball. I thought the SaberCats were not very industrious. They weren't very generative. It was when they were in the backs, move the balls to the wings and hope for the best. But again, I thought they battled pretty hard up front. Again, the conditions for the visitors are tough. Grant, 20-7 was the result. Do you think that's a fair indication of the game, or?
Oh yeah, I think it is because I don't think that the SaberCats played their game. They could have split the field more like they did earlier in the exhibition season, and probably challenged the Seawolves a lot more. There's a lot of space in the Seawolves backfield that was wide open, and several times in the game. And the Seawolves, why the SaberCats didn't exploit that, I don't know. Any other time in the year, they would have been kicking to that space and been in it. Why they weren't, I just don't know. And usually they love to split the field quickly, and they just weren't doing it tonight.
Yeah,
I'd agree with you. Oh, sorry.
Esdale was someone that was quiet in that first half. But once we had those 2 yellow cards, started to get. We saw him a bit. We saw Kalinisau try it as well on his own, and it seems to me that Vici, Kalinisau, Esdale were all trying to do things, trying to carry the team on their own shoulders, rather than letting the team and the ball beat the player.
Not
a bit
very
at a time.
Industrious. Not very industrious. Right.
I feel like I saw some kick attempts from the number 10 with Houston that just didn't quite go anywhere and exploit the space like Grant was talking about. And I think there were some mistakes where Seawolves left the door open, right, on lineouts and handling errors. And so, I think that Houston could have taken some more opportunities and made it a closer score, but I would say the score reflected what did happen.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there were some times where they should have got out and more, and there were some calls that, It was a low penalty game. It was under 20 penalties in the game. So, you really can't call that an issue. Yeah, so it really was an accurate game, of what it was. If the SaberCats would have played their game, that split the field game, we probably would have had like a 21-20 game.
I agree.
And I know, Tony, I saw you tweeting, complaining about the yellow cards, but I don't really have any issue with either of them personally. The first one, he went down. There weren't many arms in there, and you're not allowed to do those chop tackles anymore without any arms. And the
second one was just cynical play.
And the second one was cynical play, yes, on the 5-meter line.
Yeah.
I'm just not. I'm not even going to. I just can't even comment. I'm just not going to comment. I'm wearing blue and green, not black and yellow. But the entire 80 minutes, I was just like, "What? Who's he looking at?" So that's just the way that's just the way we were here at Bostock. What can I tell you? Not happy about the 2 yellow cards.
The passion showing through, but
absolutely.
Whilst the obviously the SaberCats got their one try during that period. Apart from that, the Seawolves survived that 10-minute or 12-minute period extremely well, only giving up 7 points. A great tap tackle by Signup to save a certain try.
Was that amazing? Was that absolutely incredible by Shalom? What a player too.
Oh yeah.
The fact he caught that fella on the right wing, the ankle tap, just classic, beautiful defensive commitment.
Yeah, he took a cleat to the face for it.
Beautiful.
Sacrifice.
His wife will be okay. She's right over here.
No,
I wanted to add on the cynical play note with Billy Talutau. I think something I've been learning is that from flankers, you kind of want them flirting a little bit with what could be considered illegal play because you want them in every play. You want them being a nuisance, but obviously he took it too far, and that's where he got penalized.
And if you're going to do that on your 5-meter line, that's when you've got to be careful about it. And the things. Vici tried forcing things a little bit too much at the end, but couldn't break it down. Tried running it out with their own 22, and that was perhaps some poor judgment at that point. But they were chasing the game, so it's understandable. And basically, the Seawolves managed to see the game out. I must admit, I missed the final yellow card for Pangiliani.
But dangerous tackle.
A dangerous tackle, was it? Oh, that was the judo thrown to the ground, I think was where the commentator put it. But 3 yellow cards in 3 games, that's not a good look for him, and he could be seeing some more time off, I guess. A couple of other points I came with. I thought that in that first half, Murray's box kicking was particularly poor. He got charged down once. The other one just seemed to lollipop up and into the opposition hands. And there wasn't much box kicking in this game. It was left to the fly halves to do that. And I think that could have helped with some of the territory game. It's some better box kicking. But this one was about the Seattle defence shutting down the Houston team. Any other final players you want to call out in this game?
I want to call out the Seattle 6, Eric Duchel. This kid, he was an Air Force captain, played for the Seattle Saracens, went back to Nellis Air Force Base, did some things there, and has come back up here and obviously has a world-class attitude. Was not on the first team, and now has been called on for his second start today. He had a brilliant try last week, his first try ever in professional rugby. His second start today, and he was absolutely tremendous. Offensively, defensively, you could tell he's a great teammate on the field. Great player, Eric Duchel. Congratulations. Captain, United States Air Force.
I wanted to add there about Duchel is I thought he was a really young guy. He looked like he's kind of got a baby face. He's actually 32. He just turned 32. He's an Air Force jet. Man, he is so physical. His nickname, the Beast, I think he lives up to that, and I congratulated him after the NOLA match. He got his first start at number 6, and he just had a huge smile on his face. So it's good to see him come back and really, own that position. I think he's really secured his spot there.
And Grant, obviously, they said you were doing the stats for this game. Any?
Yeah, I was doing some team stat work.
So, any players want to call out for sort of particular sort of tackle counts or anything like that we did unseen work?
The player in the SaberCats that had the biggest game was Matt Truville. He really put his body on the line.
And the lock for the number 5 for the SaberCats.
And then Charlie Hewitt. Charlie Hewitt had a rough week. He had to fly to England to go to a family funeral and then come back. And to come into the game in the second half and play as hard as he did, really got to give it to him. He did a great job. Very impressed with what he did.
Yep, a couple of guys from the engine room there from Houston.
I think Truville is underutilized in the second row. I mean, the modern game is getting out, getting your big forwards, the balls in your hand. And I just think Truville's a dynamic player. I've really liked him ever since I knew him on the Seattle Saracens. I think he's underutilized at 4 or 5. I think he should be in the back row. Personal opinion.
But Truville is he's one of your best line-out guys. I mean, Tony, you remember that South African game that you talk about so much, the one that changed your direction and what you're doing in USA?
64-0 at 2015.
But in that match, Matt Truville won 75% of the U.S. lineouts.
He sure did. Yep. That's
so,
right.
I mean, that's one thing that Matt Truville does better than anybody else on that team is he can win lineouts and throw to him.
Great player, great leader. Absolutely. No question. I'd just like to see him more, with the ball in his hand more from the number 8 or number 6 position.
But again, once we're away from the scrum, the number on your back doesn't necessarily have to define what you have to do. So they could easily have him with that 5 on his back and then say, right, Mr. Truville, we want you playing out wide on the right or out wide on the left, supporting the wingers in that 1-3-1 formation we talked about yesterday, and that would give him the space to get to maybe do a bit of that kind of play if you wanted him to. Talking of lineouts, though, I thought Houston's lineout didn't quite function today, but their scrum did, and we seem to be getting
Seattle's lineout was horrific, absolutely horrific.
Yeah, I agree.
Horrific. That was one of the shockers of the day.
I think when you see the scorecard, you'll be surprised by the numbers.
Oh, really? Okay.
Tell me, Grant. What do you mean?
I don't have it in front of me, but I'll post it up here in a little bit. I'm 10 yards away from the house, so I'll post it up when I get into the house.
Say hi to Jen at Costa del Col, baby.
Will do. Fixing it. She's got Goods Company barbecue waiting at the house for me.
I'll bet she does.
I think another thing at the set piece, Seattle wasn't, as dominant as they've been in the past, scrum and lineout. So in scrum, I saw Houston getting the nudge where that's not typically what we'd expect from Seattle. We didn't have our starters on today at the props, which you guys mentioned earlier. Metcher and Ollie were off. And I agree with Tony that the impression I had was our lineouts were horrific, but I'd love to see the numbers on that.
Yeah, because I thought the Seattle lineout functioned okay. So maybe I'm
okay. Got it.
According to
Paul, you need to raise your standards, man.
My notes aren't quite as good as Grant's. So I doubt that my stats, but there we go.
That's what you get when you're a neutral supporter, Paul.
So, guys, I got to go now.
All right.
So, guys, check out the Rugby Evangelist. That's where we're going to find those stats. Probably on Twitter or Facebook. But yeah, check out that. Thanks for joining us, Grant, and have a good evening and enjoy that barbecue.
Right on.
All right, thanks,
Paul. Paul, we'll see you tomorrow night.
Okay.
Thanks, boys.
See you tomorrow
we'll
night.
Talk later, man. Cheers.
Thank you, everybody.
All righty. Have a good night, everybody.